little bit of a speed wobble there. So the speedo showing 47. Oh my God. Just came home from work to another brand new package from KuKirin. Let's go see what's inside. Here's everything that came in the package. Rear fender with a reflector, user manual, toolkit, 60-volt charger. This is a 2-amp charger. Seat, and then a 2-piece seat bracket, because you do have the option of bolting on a seat. But I think I'm gonna keep mine as a stand-up scooter. Okay, before we take this thing out for its first ride, let's first go over all of the controls. So the key ignition is over here. It came with 2 keys. To turn the scooter on and off, it's just a long press, this power button. And to switch between modes, you just double click it, same button. There is Eco, there is Sport, and there is Race. They all have different speed ratings. Starting with Eco, it seems to be capped at 17 miles an hour. Obviously, it does not have load on there. Just showing for demonstration. For sport mode, looks to be capped at 31 miles per hour. And race mode shows that it can free spin to 56 miles per hour. Not sure if it'll do that on the street. This thing is rated for 42 miles per hour, but we will test out what the real top speed is with load on it. To turn the headlight on and off, you can also click the same button once. So long press, turns the scooter off, turns it back on, switch between modes, double click, single press turns the light on and off. You'll notice a symbol on the top left that actually means that we can press the throttle when we're in a standstill. I believe it's called 0 start. If you want to disable that, you can hold the set button. And as you see, it disappears and you can no longer accelerate from a dead stop. You have to be on a roll. As you just saw, this thing actually has a touch screen, which is a change for a stand-up scooter for me. I've had 2 KuKirins before. I had a G2 Master and a G3 Pro, and the displays on those scooters were a little bit outdated, I would say. So it's actually pretty slick that they included the touch screen dash on their more affordable scooter. Though I gotta say, it can be a little laggy at times, especially since I like to ride with my gloves on. So we'll see how it affects that with gloves on. But it's a really nice display. You know, it shows speed, shows your charge, shows what mode you're in, shows if the headlight's on and off. It's also got some turn signal indicators and a horn on the bottom left here. That's the least intimidating horn sound I've ever heard. So the brakes on this scooter is actually configured like my electric motorcycles, such as the Talaria or the Suron, where the rear brake is the left and the right brake is for the front. The throttle on this one's pretty interesting. It's like a thumb throttle that's integrated with a quarter throttle, which is pretty slick because not everybody's into thumb throttles, so you can use it just like this. But personally, I like using a thumb throttle for a stand-up scooter. Okay, we are out in the KuKirin G4, which is KuKirin's most affordable performance scooter. I think this one's like not even $900. This is their first scooter that I'm testing out that only has a single motor. It has a 2000 watt motor on the back. The previous scooters I've tested, the G2 Master and the G3 Pro, have both had dual motor setups. First thing I want to test out is speedometer accuracy. Looks like speedo showing 13 and GPS is showing 13, so it's looking pretty accurate so far. Let's get out of eco mode. Race mode. Bit of a speed wobble there. So the speedo showing 47. Oh my God, that is crazy speed wobble. I do not like that. So I just want to make it very clear, I'm not getting paid to review this video. Yes, KuKirin sent me the scooter for review, but they did not tell me what to say or what not to say. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. If I see something that a manufacturer needs to work on or improve, I'm definitely going to mention it in this video. It doesn't have as much torque as the dual motor scooters, but this definitely has the speed. I think they claimed 42 miles per hour, and we had no problem hitting 44 miles per hour right there on the main road. But just to give you some perspective, I'm 5'8" at 180 pounds. I've seen some people that review this scooter that were not able to hit 40 miles per hour, but I think Ginger on wheels weighed something like 230 pounds. And I'm sure if you're like a teenager, 150 pounds, you can easily hit 43, 44. It's pretty nice, rides very smooth. And so far, I've been very happy with it, except for that speed wobble. That didn't happen till we hit a little over 40 miles per hour. Then the front end just started getting really wobbly and unstable. So that's definitely a concern that you need to watch out for if you're gonna get one of these scooters. What I noticed was my G2 Master that I tested like 6 months ago had a similar issue, but not as bad as this one. While we're here on the side of the road, we might as well go over some of the features. This thing is powered by a 60 volt, 20 amp hour lithium battery pack, which sits here under the deck. It's got mechanical disc brakes, looks like 140 millimeter rotors, front and rear, 2000 watt hub motor on the back, super quiet. And it's got a set of 11-inch street tires on there, which is a little different from the other two performance scooters that I tested from KuKirin, which both had hybrid dual sport looking tires, which had plenty of traction for the gravel and some off-road trails. This one I'm suspecting to not have as much traction off-road, but it does ride nice and smooth on the road. So we already know race mode maxes out at 44 miles per hour. Let's see what it does in sport mode. Okay, so sport mode seems to be about 27 miles per hour. So eco mode is about 12, 13 miles per hour. Sport is 27, and race is just fast. It goes over 40. But then again, I can't really recommend going over 40 in the scooter after what we just experienced. We're pretty much just gonna stick on race mode because I like to have fun with this thing. Suspension's not bad, though I do feel the front suspension compress a lot easier than their other scooters. But then again, I keep forgetting that this scooter is only $850 and it goes over 40 miles per hour, which I think is an insane value. Like, if you can think of another scooter or e-bike that goes over 40 miles per hour on GPS that is less than $900, please comment it below because I would love to check it out. Okay, let's see if this trail that I used to like going on is finally open again. It's been closed for like the last 5 months. Oh, there it is. Sweet. That was just a pretty steep climb right there, and it didn't have an issue climbing. Though considering how the suspension feels a little soft on the front, it might not be a great scooter for somebody that weighs over 200 pounds. Also, another thing that I noticed is I'm only 5'8", and these handlebars are like almost down to my waist. This handlebar height is significantly lower than the other two that I've tested in the past. It's also not adjustable, unfortunately. It's pretty comfortable to stand on with this step on the back. It's pretty stable. Like, see, we can cruise going 35 all day. I don't feel uncomfortable in any way. It's just when we pass 40 miles per hour that it gets kind of sketchy. Okay, so I mean, we just went over 40 just there and we didn't have an issue. I mean, brakes feel pretty solid. That was pretty short stopping distance considering the speed we were carrying. Let's try that again. It's actually pretty good for mechanical brakes. Pretty impressive. We've traveled almost 5 miles just zipping around, and we've only sucked up 1 bar of battery. And trust me, I've been stranded in a KuKirin scooter before after riding 24 miles. It completely ran out of charge, so I didn't really have high hopes for this one, but that's pretty good.
So if you are planning on riding long distances, I highly recommend installing the seat since it only takes a few minutes.
Here's what it looks like with the seat mounted on. Pretty easy to install, and the bracket is definitely far from flimsy. Now obviously this is going to add a little bit of weight to the scooter, but it's definitely going to make it a lot more comfortable for long rides. And here's what it looks like with a 5'8" rider sitting down on the seat, and now the handlebar height seems to make a lot more sense. I'm curious to see if it rides a lot more stable with you seated with more weight on the back. Here's a closer look at what I meant with the front suspension compressing very easily. I'm sitting down on the scooter, so not even all my weight is on the front. A downside of having the seat installed though is not being able to fold the stem down. Even with the stem down off to the side here, it still interferes with the seat bracket. So it does make it a little bit bulky if you're trying to throw it in your trunk. So what are my thoughts on KuKirin's G4? I think it's a lot of speed and power for the money, but it does have a few shortcomings. It accelerates pretty well considering it has a single motor, though it does lack a little bit of torque, but it's able to make up the speed by running it at 60 volts, and it's still able to hit 43, 44 miles per hour pretty easily with a lighter rider. Speaking of which, the scooter is rated for a max payload of 265 pounds, which after riding it, I'm not sure I would recommend riding the scooter if you weigh more than 200 pounds. The suspension is a little bit soft and it feels a little bit unstable at speeds over 40 miles per hour. The mechanical disc brakes do their job. I don't see a reason to upgrade that to hydraulic. I really like how the 11-inch street tires ride on the road, though it does have a slight pushing effect when I get on gravel. Doesn't seem to have an issue on grass though. The G4 has the hollow stem, which they claim to be more aerodynamic, but I probably would have given that up for an adjustable solid stem, just because I think the handlebar height's a little bit low. For the general public, I'm on the shorter side, so I don't really recommend this scooter for anybody above maybe 5'11". Another thing is this scooter is not very portable. It weighs over 81 pounds, so it's not very easy to fold up and put in your trunk. Though there are some things I like about it in comparison to my G2 Master, which is I like the fact that it has a key. It feels a lot more secure if I leave it outside. The touchscreen also works pretty well, even with gloves on. It's got built-in headlight and turn signals. The headlight sits higher up by the handlebar rather than right above the wheel, like on their other scooters, which actually has a pretty decent field of view at night. And it's got built-in turn signals front and rear. I think this scooter would be a great option for those who are on the lighter side, the shorter side, and just looking for as much speed as possible, because I think the scooter has a lot to offer for $899. If you are interested in getting more information on KuKirin's G4, I'll have a link to their listing in the description below. If you found today's video helpful in any way, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my projects, some of my EV reviews, consider subscribing to this channel. But this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.